The early years of the Pacific War saw the Japanese Imperial Navy dominate the skies. Their Mitsubishi A6M Zero was a marvel of agility, speed, and maneuverability. Against this backdrop, American pilots flying the Grumman F4F Wildcat faced tremendous challenges. The Zero could outturn, outclimb, and often outrun the Wildcat, leaving U.S. forces at a distinct disadvantage. The psychological impact was enormous. American pilots approached each encounter with a mixture of fear, respect, and a growing sense of urgency to find a solution. Japan had cultivated a generation of highly skilled pilots. Their training was intensive, focusing not only on technical proficiency, but also on mental toughness and the cultural doctrine of Bushido, emphasizing honor, discipline, and courage in the face of death. The result was an air force that was not only physically superior in many respects, but also mentally conditioned for the harshest combat situations. The early naval engagements in the Pacific, from Pearl Harbor to the opening phases of the Solomon Islands campaigns, confirmed the Zero's dominance. American intelligence struggled to understand the Zero's capabilities fully. Initial reports underestimated its maneuverability and range, leading to early combat losses and a tactical reassessment by U.S. Navy commanders. The F4F Wildcat, sturdy and armed with 4.50 caliber machine guns, could absorb damage that would have brought down the fragile Zero. But its lack of speed and turning capability put pilots at constant risk in dogfights. During these early encounters, U.S. pilots developed innovative strategies to counter the Zero. They realized that diving attacks, high-speed passes, and coordinated teamwork were often more effective than attempting to outmaneuver the enemy in close quarters. But these tactics were stopgaps. What the Navy desperately needed was a plane that could match the Zero in performance, withstand more damage, and carry heavier firepower. The sense of urgency to develop such an aircraft led to the conception of the Grumman F6F Hellcat. Engineers and designers understood that victory in the Pacific depended not just on pilot skill, but on technology that could turn the tide in sustained engagements. The Hellcat would eventually embody lessons learned from the Wildcat's shortcomings while incorporating the latest in aeronautical design. The Japanese pilot training system was both grueling and comprehensive. Cadets endured long hours of flight instruction, physical conditioning, and classroom study. They learned the mechanics of their aircraft intimately, drilled endlessly on formation tactics, and studied the principles of energy management and combat maneuvering. But beyond the technical education, Japanese pilots were instilled with a deep sense of personal honor and national duty. The doctrine emphasized offensive action, calculated risk, and aggressive pursuit of the enemy. In the early stages of the war, Japanese pilots looked down upon the American F4F Wildcat. Reports of its heavier weight, reduced agility, and limited turning radius were received with derision. Japanese pilots, accustomed to the nimble Zero, often mocked the clumsy American planes. Yet, beneath the arrogance, there was an awareness of the Wildcat's durability. In prolonged engagements, the Wildcat's armored fuselage and self-sealing fuel tanks could survive hits that would destroy a Zero. Tactics were drilled into pilots repeatedly. They emphasized vertical maneuvers, boom and zoom attacks, and cooperative wingman strategies. Individual heroism was celebrated, but coordination was critical. Each pilot learned not only to fight effectively, but also to anticipate the maneuvers of enemy aircraft. This foundation of skill and discipline gave Japanese pilots an early edge in dogfights. But it also led to a sense of overconfidence when confronting new American aircraft, such as the Hellcat. Grumman's engineers approached the Hellcat project with a clear goal: create a plane that could dominate the Pacific skies. The F6F Hellcat was designed around a powerful Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engine capable of producing 2,000 horsepower. Its design prioritized durability, firepower, and pilot safety. Thick armor protected the cockpit, and self-sealing fuel tanks ensured that even a direct hit would not easily result in catastrophic loss. The plane carried 6.50 caliber machine guns, giving it the firepower to destroy a Zero with a few well-placed bursts. Initial test flights demonstrated that the Hellcat could climb faster, dive harder, and sustain more damage than its predecessors. Pilots were initially skeptical. The Zero's reputation was formidable, and confidence in American aircraft had been shaken by previous losses. However, early combat simulations revealed the Hellcat's ability to use its speed and firepower to dictate engagements. Unlike the Wildcat, which required careful tactics and skillful maneuvering to survive, the Hellcat offered pilots the opportunity to take the offensive with confidence. The first encounters between Hellcats and Zeros occurred over the Solomon Islands and later in the Central Pacific campaigns. Japanese pilots, upon first sighting the new American fighter, reportedly laughed at its bulk and perceived lack of agility. They assumed it would be another easy target like the Wildcat, but these assumptions were quickly shattered. Hellcats exploited the energy advantage, speed, altitude, and firepower to devastating effect. In one engagement, a formation of Hellcats attacked a squadron of Zeros with a coordinated dive and climb tactic that left the Japanese pilots unable to respond effectively. Within minutes, several Zeros were downed, and the remaining pilots retreated. The Hellcat's ruggedness allowed it to sustain hits that would have destroyed a Wildcat, giving U.S. pilots confidence and psychological momentum. Japanese accounts from surviving pilots expressed shock and disbelief. Their earlier assumptions, based on size, weight, and perceived clumsiness, were shattered. The Hellcat had proven that American engineering, combined with tactical ingenuity, could produce a fighter capable of dominating the previously invincible Zero. By 1944, the Hellcat had firmly established itself as the dominant American fighter in the Pacific. The battles over the Marianas, the Philippine Sea, and the Leyte Gulf would cement its legendary status. In these engagements, the Hellcat's combination of speed, firepower, and durability allowed U.S. pilots to seize and maintain the tactical advantage. The Philippine Sea, often called the Great Marianas Turkey Chute, demonstrated the Hellcat's overwhelming superiority. U.S. Navy pilots flew in large formations, using coordinated dive attacks and high-speed passes to strike at Japanese carriers and their defending Zeros. Japanese pilots, despite their experience and skill, were often unable to respond effectively. The energy advantage of the Hellcat, its ability to convert altitude into speed in a sustained climb or dive, meant that American pilots could engage or disengage at will, dictating the terms of combat. Casualty reports from the Philippine Sea highlight the staggering imbalance. Japanese aircraft losses were catastrophic, with hundreds of Zeros destroyed, while American losses remained comparatively low. This battle marked a psychological turning point. Where once Japanese pilots had mocked the Hellcat, they now recognized it as a fearsome opponent, capable of outperforming even the most skilled Zero pilots in nearly every metric. Post-war, the Hellcat's legacy endured. It influenced post-war aircraft design, contributed to naval aviation doctrine, and became a symbol of innovation, adaptation, and resilience. Veteran stories, aircraft restorations, and historical studies continue to highlight the importance of the Hellcat in achieving air superiority. Lessons from the Hellcat's success remain relevant. The integration of superior engineering, tactical doctrine, pilot training, and industrial capacity can decisively shift the balance in conflict. Its story is a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and the relentless pursuit of advantage in the skies. The Japanese pilots who once mocked the F6F Hellcat were forced to confront a sobering reality. Underestimating the combination of American engineering and tactical innovation would have deadly consequences. The Hellcat had transformed from an object of ridicule into a legendary instrument of dominance, shaping the course of the Pacific War and leaving an indelible mark on aviation history.